Sam wants to be in school. Dean wants to be out on the road, and that's just the surface of it. And then you begin to develop and understand all the underlying subtext as the series evolves.
All right, look, I know how you feel.
Do you? How old were you when Mom died? 4? Just died 6 months ago. How the hell would you know how I feel?
The show is very, very difficult to produce. It's difficult to produce because you're moving so fast, and you want it to be feature film quality, and you need it to have action.
It's probably, production-wise, the hardest thing I've ever been involved with. And every week is a different horror movie, so you're faced with a different set of challenges every week.
Not only, you know, does the look have to be carefully determined, but there has to be stunts, and there has to be CG, and there has to be prosthetic effects.
The producers and writers and directors on this show really want to use visual effects as a means to further the story. And this sort of series for a visual effects person, you know, it's like a piece of candy. You want to be part of it. Every episode, you're going to have to come up with a new way of, you know, killing the monster or having it escape or creating its powers or whatever. And it's always a challenge to show just enough effect to keep the story going and keep it scary.
The overall look is just kind of creepy, you know? I mean, it's noirish. It's like, you know, there's a lot of like very sourcey things. It's like shadowy, you know. It always has to have an element of surprise. But, you know, with that, it's very moody. I think, you know, dramatic and moody is like what we are from the first frame to the last frame. It's been the most collaborative show I've ever been on as far as just positive reinforcement, especially like coming from Eric. I mean, we, you know, email all the time, and Eric, what about this? And if he doesn't like it, it's not going to happen, and that's cool. But there's so many of the times they says, that's great, man, just go for it.
Very early on, it was a lot of meetings between Eric and myself and Bob and the creative people, and like, where do you go? Because the show could go in a number of different directions.
It's hard to write a 1-hour movie every week.
Really, you start with, why is that scary? Who are we scaring? Who are we saving? And then just go from there.
We're always saying in the room when we're breaking stories, okay, we're going to do vampires, for example. How is the supernatural version of vampires? So not only does it motivate me, not only does it make it more exciting as a writer or a filmmaker to come into it and say, okay, yes, I've done this kind of monster, how can I do it in a new way? But it also makes our show special.
We also spend a tremendous amount of time on Amazon.com ordering every book ever written about urban legends, and we're on Google like 2 or 3 hours a day, right. a lot of the time, looking for good urban legends and good horror stories.
The urban legend about, you know, the hanging boyfriend, which opens Hookman, seeing Bloody Mary, you know, come to life. All of these, you know, gory little stories that I always loved, and being able to tell them, and as we bring all of these sort of brilliant, passionate minds to the table, and it becomes not just my vision, but their vision too.
That yours?
Yeah.
Nice car.
In terms of the muscle car, in terms of the 67 Impala, it was funny, the first draft of the script, it was a 65 Mustang. My next-door neighbor pimps out rides for a living. Like, that's what the guy does. And he tricks out classic automobiles. And he happened to be outside, and I was outside, and I said, hey, man, I said, let me ask you a question. I'm writing this script, and the guys are, you know, supposed to be in this muscle car cruising around the country, and I'm thinking, like, a 65 Mustang. And I was like, what do you think? He said, oh, yeah, 65 Mustang's perfect if you're a And I said, oh, well, I can't use that. Then, you know, what car should I use? And without hesitation, he said 67 Chevy Impala, because you could fit a body in that trunk. And I went immediately online and I saw a photo of it. I said, oh, yeah, that's the car. We kept saying, like, what we want is a car that when it pulls up next to you at a stoplight, you lock the door. Like, we wanted, like, a scary-looking, you know, car. And the Impala has really become, it's the third character to the show.
I swear, man, you gotta update your cassette tape collection.
Why?
Well, for one, they're cassette tapes. And two, Black Sabbath, Motorhead, Metallica,
It's the greatest hits of mullet rock.
The voice of the show is classic rock and just sort of, you know, dirty, dusty rock and roll that you put on in a cassette.
I really wanted this vibe of classic Americana, and classic rock is a huge factor of that.
This is a very important phrase, so I want you to repeat it back to me one more time.
Zeppelin rules.
That's right. Bye.
And to me, it was such an important part of the show that they listened to that music.
It was very clear from the get-go that we were going to have like Zeppelin and AC/DC and Ozzy Osbourne and Black Sabbath and Metallica, all bands that I really love.
Sam is pointing through Dean's tapes, like saying, like, hey, look, here's the soundtrack of the show on camera, so you can't use anything else.
It fell right in with, driving the 67 Chevy and these blue-collar guys listening to AC/DC and stuff. It fit, and I was excited about it.
It just seems to work for the show, and it feels kind of tough, and it feels kind of cool, and it's not disposable, and it stood the test of time. And these are stories that have stood the test of time. So between that and, you know, Eric's love for it and my love for headbanging, we decided this was the way to go.
Hi, my name's John Bonham.
Isn't that the drummer for Led Zeppelin?
Wow. Good. Classic rock fan.
We think it has something for everybody. We put a lot of humor into the shows. We have mini love stories. If people will sample it, they see that it's not just kind of it's certainly not a slasher movie every week.
It really is rooted also in some real superstitions, and also it's very spiritual in a way.
What'd you find out?
Everyone Roy's healed 6 people over the past year, and I cross-checked them with the local obits. Every time someone was healed, someone else died. And each time the victim died of the same symptom LaGranger's healing at the time.
You know, you take what Sarah and Rael did with the episode Faith, and like a level of exploration into ethical issues and sort of a moral investigation. And they're, trying to have deep, thoughtful, commentary. And I never would have thought that I would be involved with such a classy episode of TV.
Faith, I think, was probably the least horror movie that we did. I thought it was about something. I thought there were real issues in that show that we explored within the context of our show, and it didn't feel preachy in any way.
Why do you deserve to live more than my daughter?
This was an episode that we conceived and we were really excited about. And also, as we were sort of breaking the story, we became deeply concerned. Like, they're never going to let us, tell this story about a preacher's wife who's,
evil and killing people that are, homosexual and, abortion rights activists. And we thought, oh God, they're gonna throw the book at us with this one. And nobody questioned it. I mean, they really gave us so much creative space.
I don't think we want to experiment too much and go too far afield from what the show is, which is a good little horror movie every week, that has an ongoing story with the brothers and brings a certain amount of, emotion and relatable heart to it.
You have to base your episode in real human emotion. We're finding our feet in that direction. I did an episode called Shadow where they see their father for the first time, and we really ground that in emotion, that it's real, and you can make this real for an audience.
I got to be a part of this fight.
Henry, this fight is just starting, and we are all going to have a part to play. For now, you got to trust me, son.
The whole genre, not only horror, but there's such interest in psychological phenomena. So I think it touches on a lot of areas that people will find stimulating.
We have not run out of urban legends yet, and we have not run out of scary creatures, and we have a long list of demons to go through. So,
and there's also, Sam and Dean also have a really colorful past. I mean, I think there's stuff to be taken from their friends, from their father's friends. I mean, there's a whole network of people that they're connected to that we haven't even begun to look at yet.
Every person they mention, we intend to bring them to life and probably murder them.
Just like Star Wars, I can't wait to see, what other characters and what other things and areas of their world kind of start to color the series.
We explore the father and the mother and going back home to Kansas, and then the girlfriend coming back and new relationships with new girls.
Along the way, Sam and Dean have encountered a lot of surprises, like the fact that Sam has developed these strange abilities and they don't really understand what that means yet. And they're also encountering other people who seem to be connected to this demon that they're looking for. So what we're hoping is that we get a little deeper into the mystery.
But, you know, we can't really give away the information because, like, Eric will torture us.
Keep people guessing. We have twists and turns. You know, our game plan has always been we have the mythology for season 1 mapped out. We have actually the mythology right now we've kind of mapped out all the way through the end of season 3, where we know the big story points that we want to hit.
We establish the architecture of the seasons. Then we get in and we talk about episode to episode and the storylines that we want to explore.
Season 1 exceeded my expectations. I think the show has grown and evolved in ways that I didn't count on. I wanted to come into this just to scare the hell out of people, but I kind of came out the other side having these 2 characters who I'm as proud of as anything I've created, and sort of, along with everybody else, kind of can't wait to see what happens next.
You wake me up when it's my turn to drive.